friends, welcome back to my channel. We are officially a couple of days away from the end of February, and I have to say, month flew by, mostly because I didn't work for 14 out of the 28 days. Probably even more than that if I factor in snow days. So this month flew by. It's going to make March feel even longer because we're going to have to actually go to school for a full month. But enough of that. Let's talk about my favorites. First, I mentioned I was reading a book, and I finally finished Insurgent. I started this during winter break, and I slowly plugged away at it. Reading for me right now has been really challenging because I'm dealing with new content and I'm teaching 2 different grade levels. So at any time I'm teaching 2 different books at school, and I not only have to read them for the first time, but then I have to become the expert. And that takes up a lot of my energy and time, and thus I don't get to read very often. So this is the sequel to Divergent. Movie is coming out March something or other, I think the 20th, don't quote me. I have to say, I watched Divergent, hadn't read the books. My students, I had bought these books for them, a set to use, like to have in my classroom, and a bunch of kids read them and loved them. I watched the movie, I read the book, didn't love the book. I actually preferred the movie, which feels sinful to say as an English teacher, but I picked up the second book, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. There was a lot more character development of the protagonist, which I appreciated, and I felt like she was kind of whiny and just too sensitive in the first book, and I feel like it was more balanced here, and I appreciated that, and I got a better feel for the world that Veronica Roth is writing in, and the way she ended this book is great. I can't wait to read the third one. Enough about books. Let's talk music. Imagine Dragons released a new album. I love it more than my Taylor Swift album. And I just love Imagine Dragons. They are very much an alternative rock band, and I love them. I love the song Shots. I love the song Polaroid. I just cannot stop listening to it. I think it is such a diverse and different sophomore album, and they are phenomenal. You need to go watch them. Lastly, since we're just on this topic, favorite show has been Parks and Recreation. It is coming to an end, and I have to say, they did it in a really good way. The end of last season, I was kind of iffy on Parks and Rec. I was like, you know, I'll keep watching it because I don't quit shows. They need to end for me to stop watching them. But I was also kind of like, it's not what it used to be. Well, they came out with a final half season, and it was great. Watched the finale a couple nights ago, and I have just been loving it. I've also been binge watching Friends, and that's been great. I had never watched Friends before. I'm on season 7. I started it 2 weeks ago. That's kind of embarrassing. Let's just move forward. Now to makeup and other products. First I have is a hand cream. This is the Marlia Monarch Chamomile Beckman Glycerine Hand Therapy. I go through phases where I love this, and then I put it down, pick something up, and I always find myself coming back to it. This is a huge hand cream. It is 6 ounces, and I've had it probably like a year and a half. Discovered it through a Birchbox, got it in like a mystery pack, had to have the full size. Yes, it smells so good, and it's such a nice hand cream, and you don't need a ton of it to actually moisturize your hands. You guys know my struggle has been very real with cold weather recently, so having this and having a slew of hand creams at all times is vital to my life. Let's talk nails. I have this Wet n Wild Megalast Salon Nail Color in the shade Undercover, which they also put, I think it's the French word, it's 206C. Came across this at a 5 below. It reminded me of a recent OPI color that came out in, I think it's the Brazil or some summer line that I haven't seen pop up at my Ulta yet, but I do want to make a purchase. Love this color. I've been trying to grow my nails out. The struggle is so very real. This is just a great sort of like muted rosy color. I think it's beautiful. I don't think they still have it on like the general collections, but I do like it. I'd recommend it. I think it's long lasting and really nice. I have 2 concealer favorites. One is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser Dark Circles Treatment Concealer, and this is in Light Pale. I had this and I dug it back out and I was like, oh, I'll give this a try again. And it's great. It is great for covering up my under eye circles and really doing a nice job of not being too thick. I know some people don't necessarily love the sponge applicator, but I do. I think it's really easy and handy to use. I just kind of do like a triangle motion underneath my eye, and then I pat it to blend it a little bit, and then I'm done with that step. So this has been really great. I'm glad I rediscovered it in my collection. And then I also have been using, I think this is the Dream Lumi from Maybelline. The font has wiped off. You can see I'm almost out of this product. This is a great brightener. However, I will say that there isn't a ton of product in here. I kind of complained about this in my haul that I did involving this. And so I feel like I've gone through this really quickly, and I feel like it's somewhere in like the $8 to $10 range, which isn't super expensive, but I would rather you have more product and a higher price tag so I won't go through it as fast than have, you know, a decently high price tag and not as much product, because that's kind of annoying, but I have been happy with this thus far. And then my last favorites are actually all just eye products that I have come across and have been enjoying. The very first is my Too Faced Naked Eye. I've been using this predominantly throughout this month, mostly because I've been trying to encourage myself to essentially pan this whole palette by the end of next year, because I've had this since February of 2012, and I can only think that I can have eyeshadows for so long before it gets a little bit weird. So I have been doing a couple of combinations. I have been doing the shade Birthday Suit in my crease along with Pink Cheeks on my lid, and then ending up with In the Buff on my brow bone. I have it on my eyes today, which I'm pleased with. I've also been mixing this palette with these two products. So I got this Pixi, what do you call it? Fairy Dust in Brightening Bare. And I have to say, it didn't look like a whole lot when, I'm sure you can barely even see it. Let me try to pack some more on there. It's basically like a shadow stick. Oh, there we go, there we go. It's a little intense, but it's on there. You can now see it. And I thought, okay, this is kind of lackluster. Like, what am I going to do with this? It sat in my collection. And then I thought, wait a second. Maybe I can try to use my shadow sticks that I have along with this and be able to pan this at the same time. And boy, don't you know it, I've been very happy with the result. What I do is I put this Milani Champagne Toast all over my lid after I prime it. And then I put what feels like a pound of this stuff on my lid, and it creates a really pretty, soft sort of champagne color. These two work really well together as a team. And then I've been taking some of Birthday Suit in my crease, or I've been taking Pillow Talk in my crease, and then using In the Buff on my brow bone. And I've been making, again, some nice progress on this and making use of some products that I really haven't touched or even thought about touching in my collection for a while. So I'm really pleased with that. The last thing that I have is this Revlon Colorstay Liquid Eye Pen. Yeah, pen. This I bought when I had that coupon for buy a mascara, I get a free eyeliner. I like felt tips. This thing is nice. I don't think it's any better than the Rimmel Scandaleyes one. I actually prefer that one. I think it's a bit blacker or more black than the one that I currently have in my eyes, which is this Revlon one. But again, it's a pretty brainless eyeliner. I pop it off. It's like writing with a pen. I line my eyes and I'm done. I just love how simple it is for that. And it just makes for a really good everyday kind of eyeliner. All right, guys, those are my favorites. I'm glad that I did some reading and did some TV watching this month. Let me know down below what you guys have been loving or things that you've been interested in. If you have any Netflix recommendations, I'm always looking for good ones. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.